I think it's better, especially with our adult children, to seek to really understand. So asking open-ended questions, can you help me understand? Would you be willing to unpack that a little further? And what you're doing, and in not a manipulative way, you're actually helping them think through the problem or the question or the situation or the issue, right? Without solving it for them.
Hey everyone, this is Yvette Hampton. Welcome back to the Schoolhouse Rocked Podcast. I am back with Rachael Carman, and we're talking about the after years. This is part of our Homeschooling Through the Years series. So if you missed the last 2 episodes with Rachael, go back and listen to those, because then today's episode will make a little bit more sense to you. But if you've missed the whole series, go back and listen. We've been on this for several weeks now, and we've talked about all the different phases of your kid's childhood. So from preschool all the way through high school, we've broken them up by, preschool, elementary, middle school, high school. And now we're talking about the after years, which is where we are right now. We're just at the we're at the door. The door is open. We have walked through with Brooklyn. She graduated in May. And so we are just walking. We're a few steps into the adult years, and it so far has been fun. But as we talked about yesterday, I mean, it can come with all kinds of challenges. But God is still so faithful, and we know that He is. And so we get to lean on Him. We get to hold tight to Him. And if you are not walking with the Lord, let me just tell you, life can be so much better when you do. I don't know how people get through this life without Jesus. I just don't know. I literally don't know. My husband and I were talking about this the other day, and I was like, without God, we would be so hopeless. I mean, there's just no hope in this world apart from Him. And so, as we're just navigating this crazy world we're living in and this weird election season and all this stuff, who cares about any of that? Because we know that God, He is victorious, and we get to be on His team. We get to be part of Team Jesus, and I'm so grateful.
The winning team. Yeah.
We know who wins in the end.
That's right.
So we get to be on His team. We get to serve Him. We get to surrender to Him and obey Him and lead our kids to hopefully do the same. So anyway, we're going to get back into the conversation. But before we do, I want to say thank you to our sponsor, BJU Press Homeschool. You guys have heard me say it lots and lots, but I'll say it again. If you're looking for great homeschool curriculum for any grade, any age, any subject, check them out at bjupresshomeschool.com, and they will help you homeschool. They will walk you through whatever it is that you need. If you're not sure, call them up, talk to one of their consultants, and give them a try. bjupresshomeschool.com. And again, thank you to Rachael and Davis for just their incredible support of the Schoolhouse Rocked ministry. We are so thankful for Apologia and just for your partnership with us. You guys are amazing. So
we're grateful to be with you.
Yeah, we love it. All part of the body of Christ. So,
That's right. That's right.
Well, we've talked about how to prepare ourselves, how to prepare our kids. Talked about how our adult kids still need us. They do. One of the things that I am finding to be a little bit difficult, and I would love to hear your take on this as you've now launched 7 kids, is how do we let go and navigate not being controlling and overbearing with our kids? Because it's hard to know. It's hard to find that balance. I'm finding that right now. It's hard to find that balance of having an adult child. That sounds like an oxymoron, doesn't it? An adult child, an adult child in the home, and not wanting to control her or be overbearing, but still wanting to give wise counsel and direct her in some ways.
Yeah.
How did you do that with your kids? How do you let go, but not let go completely? Because you got to just let those reins out just a little bit at a time.
Yeah. I mean, it's really tough. I mean, there's not a formula. I still have not gotten into selling magic wands or pixie dust. I think that would be so convenient if I had a magic pill I could just give everyone.
Yeah.
Because even from child to child, it's different, right? I mean, even when you were disciplining your children, there wasn't one method that worked for all of your children. It doesn't work that way. I mean, I remember with our first child, I thought, well, I know what to do with the next one. Well, no, they were so different. And the fourth was different still. And so it's the same with this. What one child thinks is a controlling, manipulative statement by mom, the other one thinks is a word of encouragement.
Right.
I mean, give me a break. It's really tough. And I think the key is to be, I think we've got to dare to really be engaged in the moment in the conversation and not try to be, typing our grocery list or a text to somebody else. I think we need to dare to be present in the conversation. And one of the things that I think really goes a long way with adult children is listen more than you speak.
Oh, yeah.
Now, again, I've terribly failed that on more than one occasion because I am not generally, this will shock you, I'm not generally hurting for an opinion. But what I've learned from my very wise and diplomatic husband is not everybody needs to know what that opinion is.
Right.
I can have it, but I don't always need to share it. And so what I really think, I think it's better, especially with our adult children, to seek to really understand, to really empathize with where they are, to really hear them and really try to make sure you understand. So asking open-ended questions, can you help me understand? Would you be willing to unpack that a little further? I think I must have missed something. I'm sorry if I'm asking you to repeat, whatever, to really, and what you're doing, and in not a manipulative way, you're actually helping them think through the problem or the question or the situation or the issue, right? Without solving it for them.
Right.
You're trying to help them think through. So we currently have one of our kids who's in just a really lousy job circumstance. I mean, just being micromanaged. And if you're an adult and you've ever been micromanaged, it's nothing short of torture to have some other adult think that they, are privy to all of your personal information and they're going to control your life and nothing you do is ever right. I mean, it's just, at my age, I can see it and go, I can name it,
right,
at 100 yards. But in their situation, they have never experienced this before. And I mean, calling and stressed and panicked and confused. And I mean, lots of gaslighting's going on. I mean, it's toxic.
Yeah.
And so trying to have these conversations and help them see it, right? I mean, I can see it. And there may be a time, we've already passed that time, when I can name it and say, okay, what I'm hearing you say is, and, my experience, but that's after a lot of conversation. I think when they're adult children, what they need us to do is help them to think it through.
Yeah.
I think that's the most valuable thing we can do, and just because I think often they can start to see things if we can help them downshift and help me understand. And you said this, what did you mean by this? And you said this, and just thinking it through with them that way. Davis and I endeavor not to give unsolicited advice. And that is really hard.
Yeah.
And try to support. We encourage our kids to take their time in making decisions, that we emphasize the Proverbs that talk about a multitude of counselors make for wise decisions, and to talk to a lot of different people and talk to their mentors. So often if we feel like someone is rushing towards a really lousy decision, we'll say, well, have you talked to your mentor? When's the last time you talked to your brother? Have you considered, just trying to, you need to be talking to other people about this. Yeah. And I think that is a very difficult thing for a lot of parents because they want to be the go-to.
Right. Yeah.
And they don't want the pastor or the mentor or a sibling or anybody else on the planet to know more than they know. And I'm just going to say in the strongest terms, we've got to dare to get over ourselves. And we've got to allow other people to have authentic, substantive, meaningful voices in our children's lives.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. It can be really hard to see someone else give advice that you've been giving and they got credit for. I mean, that's just hard.
Right. Yeah. I've said that a million times.
Yeah. 1,000,001 times, for 18 years. And, but I think our focus needs to be on the fact that they heard it.
Yeah.
And not on what the source was.
Yes.
And I really do believe, and so here's something of comfort. And maybe this is for my own comfort. This is my own original thing. I like to believe that it was my 1,000,000 times that made it possible for them to hear it from that person. Now, that may not be true at all, but I really like that idea.
Yeah,
that
I do too.
Paved the way, right? So I think that's really important. And certainly our married kids, we do not tell them how to run their marriage. We do not tell them how to parent. We do not. We believe strongly in leave and cleave. Yeah. And we believe in covenant, and they need to cleave. They need to meld. They need to do some hard things together. I can say they are all done things that I've disagreed with. Yeah. But I think if you're a parent, you just back up and think when you first got married, how, Davis and I recently, because our daughter's getting married, she wanted to watch our wedding, which we have on VHS.
Oh, nice. Do you have a VHS player? Oh my word.
We don't. So Davis must have, it was originally a VHS, but he's got it now where we watched it. I am looking at these two kids and I'm thinking, what a pair of doofuses. I don't know what I was saying. I didn't know what I was promising. I didn't know a thing about for better or for worse. I did not know. And you just think, God, thank you. Yeah. Thank you that I'm not that person. Thank you for all of the junk that you've redeemed. Thank you for all of the work you've done, all of the patience you've had with me. Thank you for the journey that we've been on. And I think that if you're really wise as a parent, you can remember how you started off and all the answers you had to marriage and all the parenting answers that you had. And you can just think, you know what? They're on a journey. Yep. And they're probably going to soften. The most important thing is that they're following hard after Jesus. Yeah. And that covers a multitude of sin. Yeah. We, one of our sons and his wife are doing just a beautiful job catechizing our grandkids. And it's just such a joy to go over there. They have this beautiful evening routine that they're going through, and they're going through this little catechism book. And when we visit, I get to ask the questions, and he answers the questions. And I'm thinking, you know what? There's a lot of things that just fall away in this moment because this is the most important thing. It's not the most important thing that we do everything exactly the same. Right. That is not the most important thing. Right. The most important thing is that we acknowledge and worship the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Yeah. And so I think focusing on that and walking in grace of your own journey, that goes a long way.
Yeah. Oh, so good. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Have you tried CTC Math yet with your child? Here's a testimonial from another happy homeschool mom. Amber said, I'm absolutely thrilled with CTC Math. It's a rare find that I've used with my children for more than 5 years now. I have 6 children using CTC Math, and each child has found it easy to navigate and very applicable. Thank you so much for all that you are doing in providing quality math lessons for my children. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com. That's ctcmath.com. Are you looking for a homeschool curriculum that goes beyond textbooks and truly engages your children in the joy of learning? Apologia's award-winning curriculum is written by homeschool parents to specifically meet your needs and captivate your students with hands-on activities and experiments that make learning unforgettable. With an easy-to-follow, open-and-go format, Apologia takes the stress out of planning and provides a simple roadmap that can easily be tailored to your family's needs. Explore live classes or self-paced courses designed to accommodate every student's unique learning style. Elevate your child's education, spark their curiosity, and nurture a lifelong love for learning with Apologia. Discover Apologia today at apologia.com. We are back with Rachael. Man, you are so encouraging to me. I want to ask one last question. We have a few minutes left, and I want to talk about marriage because this is something that I know, especially as homeschoolers, when our kids are with us all day, every day, it's impossible for them not to be kind of the center of our world because we're with them all the time. And I know we need to work really hard to establish strong marriages while our kids are in the home, but I can see it becoming very different. And you and Davis you're in that phase now where you're empty nesters and it's just the two of you. How can we prepare ourselves for those years to have a strong marriage? Because you hear the stories of parents, who they put everything into their kids and then they look at each other when their kids are gone and they're like, who are you again? Yeah. So how can we really build strong relationships with our spouses when we still have to have our kids God is the center of our family. Mm-hmm. Our marriage is the most important relationship that we need to display for our kids, but our children are just so needy, even in the teen years. And so how can we establish a strong marriage so that when our kids are all gone, they're living their lives, we can still have a really strong relationship with one another?
Yeah. I think you're right. Our kids are really needy, but I think one of the top things they need right after Jesus is they need to know that your marriage is a priority.
Yeah.
And when we were first married, we lived in Ohio, and there were 5 of us, young families, 5 on the street. I think that's right. And none of us had any money. I mean, we didn't have any money. We were trying to pay the mortgage, and the girls, we had a Thursday night Bible study together, and we printed what we called baby bucks. And we all started off with a certain number of baby bucks. And we used those as our currency to watch each other's children so everyone could go on dates.
Oh, how fun.
And it was perfect because you got a certain number based on how many kids you got.
Yeah.
And we traded off kids all the time so that we could invest in our marriages. Your kids need to see you go on dates together.
Yeah.
They need to see that it's a priority. Your relationship is a priority. And I remember the first time we got to leave our kids alone by themselves. So we had, we got to where we could afford a babysitter, but not very often, right?
Yeah.
And then we had a regular babysitter, and that was out of the park because she was amazing. She always did the coolest crafts with the kids, right? She did glitter, and I was an anti-glitter mother.
Oh yeah, me too.
But I confess there should be a support group for us. But she would come over and just do the coolest crafts, and that was awesome. But then there came a time when our oldest kids were old enough for us to go and leave the younger ones with them, which was kind of terrifying because we didn't even have 7 yet. We only had 6. And so I gingerly put my number 6 in one of those saucers, one of those bouncy saucers. Uh-huh. And I was like, we'll be back before he's bored, right? Because I was just like, I'm just going to go for coffee and come right back. But, it was cool because then, for the rest of forever, all the other dates that we would go on, they would stay there together. And they were really cheap babysitting because we paid with Chick-fil-A brownies. Nice. That's not kidding, which was perfect. But I think your kids really need to see that.
Yeah.
Really, really, really need to see that. And if it means that you come along with other couples and you trade off babysitting, do it. If it means that there's an older couple at church that, their kids are gone and they're willing to watch your little ones, do it. Find a way, because your kids need it. Even if it's putting your kids to bed and mommy and daddy are having a date. Yeah. You need to tell them that. Like, don't do it and they don't know. Right. But say, tonight you're going to go to bed early and you're going to take, a couple of extra books to bed with you. Or maybe they're going to hit the gold mine and they can listen to Adventures in Odyssey or whatever. But you get to go to bed early tonight because I'm taking your mother on a date, and you've lit candles and you've, whatever you do, but your kids desperately need that.
Yes.
And because having a good marriage after they're gone starts before they leave. And so really investing in that, because all of our kids were like, so what are y'all going to do? Because they had already seen, and they really wanted to know what we were going to do. We're going to go hiking in the Smokies, and I got an Airbnb and all this, know. So they knew that we were going to be okay. I think one of the ways that parents inadvertently pass on insecurity in their kids is when your kids are leaving and they're afraid that, what are mom going to do? What are mom and dad going to do? I think one of the ways that you can give them more security in going, more confidence in going, is they know that their going isn't going to destroy the two of you.
Yeah.
And that's not something you say, that's something you show by the way that you engage with each other before you leave. And again, I'd say it's not too late. You can start that now and making a priority for that. But your kids, of all the things that they need Jesus.
Yep.
And they need to know that your marriage is solid and you're working together and it's a priority.
Yeah, absolutely. So important. I have a husband who is so good at flirting with me. And he flirts with me in front of my girls. He flirts with me not in front of my girls. And it's so fun to gross my girls out. And we're not like gross in front of them, we don't make out.
It doesn't take much. Let's just be honest. It doesn't take much.
Yeah. It's fun. And I love that they get to see a dad who is truly, and he's way better at flirting with me than I am at flirting with him. It's just his nature and mine, but it's just so much fun that they get to see this. And years ago, I'm pretty sure it was Brooklyn that drew a picture of Garrett and I kissing, and both of the girls were like hiding behind the wall. And the caption from one of the girls said like, "Ew, gross," or something. And it had like hearts coming up out of mine and Garrett, and it was so funny. And I just was like, praise God for that. I am so thankful that, they see us giving each other, a peck on the lips, and they see us hugging each other, and, just being loving and flirtatious with one another, because they, like you said, they need that. They need to see that. They need to know that we see that. Are a priority, and that we have, and now it's easy for us to go on dates. We're in that phase of life where our kids are teenagers. We can leave for a whole day if we wanted to. And it's great. We don't often leave them, but we can now. And for those who have little ones, you'll get there,
exactly.
We weren't always here,
happen.
But it does happen. And so, the marriage relationship is so, so important, because the kids need to know that it's solid. They need that solid foundation of the family, because it's really mom and dad who hold the family together.
That's exactly right. Don't underestimate that.
Yep. No, not at all. Mom, dad, Jesus, that's it. A family can withstand anything. I'm convinced anything if they're together. So Rachael, thank you so much for being with us this week.
Always
it has been such a joy. I love chatting with you. You're such an encouragement to me. We'll put links to Rachael Carman in the show notes so that you can find her wherever she is. She's all over the place. She often speaks. And so if you're somewhere and you hear that she's coming to speak, go listen to her. She is such a blast.
Thank you. And come and introduce yourself, because I'd love to give you a hug.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I love that. I love that you love people so much.
I do. I really do. Especially the moms. I want to hear your story. So come introduce yourself.
So good. Well, thank you guys for listening. We love you so much, and we're so grateful for you. If you're not signed up for our newsletter, you can go to our website, Schoolhouse Rocked, where you can also stream the movie for free. Rachael's in the movie. She's one of our cast members. Woohoo! So you can see her in Schoolhouse Rocked, but you can stream it for free and sign up for our newsletter there, so you can hear all the exciting things that we have coming up. We don't send out a lot of newsletters, but probably one every other week or so on average, and just let you know what we've got going on, what podcasts we have that have come out, and any other exciting things we've got. So sign up there. Have a great rest of your week. Stay tuned in the very end to hear what's coming up next week on the podcast, and we will see you back here then. Bye.
Laughing in the face of imposter syndrome and coming to you from the epicenter of manly overconfidence, I'm your host, Garrett Hampton, and you are listening to The Thinking Dad.
Even if we're able to push the evildoers and the totalitarians back for another generation, maybe if we work really hard, maybe even 2 generations, if they've got the young people, it's over.
I often think about Daniel's parents, who you don't hear anything about. But they must have laid down the foundation for Daniel to be able to go into Babylon and not fall.
We're in that very beginning part of the cycle for tough times. We've been fat and happy. We've been enjoying we're lazy because we enjoy so much freedom. We got all these blessings, and why would you go do the hard work? And so for a long time now, decades, we haven't had to do the hard work. We've been living on the fumes of previous generations paying the price. And we got to raise the bar and say, I'm willing to give more of my life, that's my time, more of my money, of course, that's our fortune, and more of my sacred honor, which is my reputation. I'm willing to put it all on the line. Every single one of us has to be willing to do that.
Join us for the first season of The Thinking Dad at thinkingdad.net.
At the end of the day, when you distill your entire life down and every experience and everything you've done, what it comes down to is your love for God and sharing that with others. And that's ultimately what it's about. As I'm raising my kids, they are going to have it at the end of the day. And what is it that I am pouring into them? Like, who will they be on their deathbed? Will it be all of their accolades and their successes and their grades and their this and that? And not that those things aren't important, because part of that is what God calls us to. Yeah. But at the end of the day, what's the most important thing I'm pouring into?
Yeah.
Because that's what will be left, And God will use things like careers and academia and education to do those things, but those are not the first things. And if we pursue those things without the first thing, Like the word says, unless the Lord builds the house, the builder's labor is in vain in Psalm 127. And it's like, if we're pursuing the academics without that first thing in mind, then it's in vain.